talk about different spiritual paths. Before we even get into the classification, okay, let us understand what is a spiritual path. And while there are many definitions, there are many ways that they may have been defined. What I like is that I think it is a specific lifestyle that you adopt in order to achieve your spiritual goal. So spiritual path is nothing but a spiritual lifestyle. And what is the spiritual goal? So different paths may have slightly different spiritual goals. However, the ultimate goal of each path is liberation, freedom from human birth, end of suffering, and understanding the essence of who I am, the essence of this world, and the essence of this existence. That is the purpose. And why do we want to achieve the spiritual goal? Very simple. Because, as I said, we want to end suffering forever. And we want to stay peaceful and blissful eternally. Eternally meaning, like there should not be any cause. There should be nothing which should be happening to me because of which I may feel, oh, my peace is now disturbed. So it does not get disturbed at all. Now, I'm sharing here with you the classification of different spiritual paths. And before I share, I also want to put two disclaimers here. My first disclaimer is that there is no agreement on this classification. Okay, so it is not something that many schools, traditions may agree on. And as such also, there is no classification given. So I have put here 6 different types of spiritual paths. However, some may have put them under 4, some may have put them under 2. So there is nothing like, that this is how it is. Okay. Like even when we talk about Vigyan Bhairav Tantra or the Book of Secrets, there are 112 techniques which are given, right? If you look at Gita, Bhagavad Gita, there may be 2 or 4 which are given there. So everywhere the classification is different. This is the classification that appealed to me, so I'm sharing here with you. The second disclaimer is that while, of course, there are clear differences in each of these paths, but at the same time, they are intertwined with each other. Okay, it's like when we want to climb a mountain. So we may start from anywhere, but actually the mountain is only one, right? And even when you reach the top, it is the end goal is also the same for everyone. And whichever path you may be taking, you will get effects of or support from other paths as well. Okay, so there are differences and yet there are also commonalities between them. But what specific path you would be choosing, what specific lifestyle you would be acquiring, which will be the dominant lifestyle, based on that we say this is the spiritual path that you are on. Let's first start with the path of knowledge, or what is also called as the Gyan Marg or Gyan Yog. Okay. Now, path of knowledge is also called the pathless path, because actually all the paths eventually lead to knowledge. They eventually lead to Gyan. And once that Gyan, and that Gyan can also be received in few seconds. Okay, that is all that can take. And very commonly, we have all heard of the story of King Janak and Sage Ashtavakar, when King Janak asked him that, how can I know that essence? How much time will it take? And Sage Ashtavakar told him, less than the time it takes to blink your eyelid. Okay. And he shared with him and King Janak got it. So there was no practice. The knowledge was received instantly. Okay, so that's why it is also called the pathless path. However, still there can be practices over there. And the most common schools under path of knowledge or the common traditions are, the first that I have given here is Advait Vedant, or called non-dual philosophy. Okay. This is mainly, if you see, given by Adi Shankaracharya. He was the one who had propagated this, very popular in that, which says that there are no two, there is only one. And we've also heard, the famous thing that Adi Shankaracharya has said, which is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, right? So that is where it comes from. There are other very popular traditions under non-dual philosophy, like we all have heard of Raman Maharishi. He's also, that school also is based on non-dual philosophy. And then we have heard of Shri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I'm just talking about the popular ones, although there are many. And even J. Krishnamurti. His whole teaching was around the Advait. And lately, actually, there are many schools. Here I'm mentioning only the traditional ones, but there are many schools under Advait. Like if you look at Ramakrishna Mission's Vedanta New York Society, there is this Swami Sarvapriyanand, who's very popular. And he is talking completely about the Advait school of philosophy only. Okay. So I said it is a pathless path. At the same time, there are practices, those who start from Advait or those who start from the path of knowledge only. So the practices which are popularly known as are called listening, contemplating, and abiding. That is Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. Those are the practices, those who start on the Advait path. And again, there are, this is the final. As I said, whatever path you may take, eventually it is about reaching the top, and the top, what are you going to find? Knowledge. That is what you get. So there are paths which start with, or there are schools or traditions which say we start from the lower end and then we progress slowly. Okay. And there are also traditions which say we start from the top. Okay. So we first give you the knowledge. Do you get it? Okay. You don't get it? Fine. So we come one step down. Do you get this? Okay. You're not getting this also. So we come one step down. So both the approaches are used by different schools. The other one, second one that I have mentioned here is Kashmiri Shaivism. Okay, and that is the approach. It is also called Trika Shaivism. Very popular in Kashmir. It was, of course, it must have been a very long, it has a very long history. But what I know of, it was Anubhav Gupta in the, possibly the 8th CE, who kind of propagated this. And lately in the 20th century, it has been taken forward by Lakshman Ju. And the Trika philosophy, there they start from the top again. So they completely believe that you have to start from the top and give people the knowledge first. Give them the knowledge. Who knows, they may be prepared. Why waste their time in taking them through all the processes? Give them the knowledge. If they get it, great. If you don't get it, it doesn't make sense to you, fine. Okay, let's go to the second one. You don't get the second one, okay, let's go to the third one. Okay, so that is the way it works. Now, Kashmiri Shaivism mainly is a Gyan Marg, the path of non-dual philosophy. But in all these paths, you will also find other paths coming in. Like Kashmiri Shaivism also has Tantra practices or occult practices, which are very popular. In fact, Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which is also part of the their scriptures only. Okay. Third one is the Sankhya. Sankhya is where does it come from? It comes from the Bhagavad Gita. If you see, and if you see even in Bhagavad Gita, which is the 2nd chapter, Krishna also, when he's giving Gyan to Arjun, he's starting from the top. He's giving him the Advait Gyan first. Okay. And I would like here to mention from Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 20. I'm not reading the Sanskrit one, but I will just share the verse, the meaning of the verse, where he says, this self is never born, nor does it ever perish, nor having come into existence will it again cease to be. It is birthless, eternal, changeless, ever same, unaffected by the usual processes associated with time. It is not slain when the body is killed. Right? So this is coming from the Sankhya Yuga. But because Arjun does not get the knowledge, then Krishna takes him through each path, and all the paths, and Bhagavad Gita is one scripture where all the paths have been covered. Then we come to Buddhism. Now, Buddhism, most people associate either with Vipassana or with chanting. Okay. But essentially, Buddhism also is about, if you see, Buddha has talked about shunyata, shunya. Okay, and in that shunya, it's all about that one, that nothingness. If you get to read this Lotus Sutra in the Buddhism, it is completely about that one, that, you know, what we are talking about here as the Advaita philosophy or the path of knowledge. That is what the Lotus Sutra is about. However, in every tradition, what happens is there are all kinds of seekers. And because not everybody gets that, so there are different other practices which come in, which the guru initiates so that everybody can gain something, you know, based on their understanding. So in Buddhism also we find Vipassana, as I said, which is more of the breathing exercise, breathing practice, watching and meditation, and also the chanting. Sikhism, we all know Japji Sahib, right? Ik Onkar. Ik Onkar, Advait, only one. There is only one. So Sikhism is again very strongly an Advait mark. But in Sikhism, we also find a lot of service. We all know how much Sikhs or in the Gurudwara service is given. Plus, there are Shabads which are sung. So there is also that devotional part which comes in. But traditionally, if you see what Guru Nanak Dev had given once, the first thing that he had said after he had realized was Ik Onkar. Now, what is the purpose of the path of knowledge or the path of wisdom? It is to gain knowledge, to gain freedom and liberation. Samadhi can be easily attained through this path. And even when we talk about Samadhi, we mention something called Nirvikalp Samadhi, which is about being in the Samadhi 24 hours, not being Samadhi in a particular pose or when you are sitting in your meditation for some time. No, it's about being in that state all the time. That can only happen when you know. That can only happen through knowledge. So even if other paths bring you to this, to the top here, after getting the knowledge only can you stay in the Nirvikalp Samadhi. This is an atheist path. Okay, what does that mean? In the Gyan Marg, there is no God. There is no God at all. Actually, if you see, even in Buddhism, there is no God. It's talking about Shunya, or even in Sikhism, it's about Gurudwara, right? Or the Guru Granth Sahib, or they say the Gurus, but God is not there. Advait, non-dual philosophy, no God, which is sometimes difficult for people to understand, but none of the paths on, which will be based out of knowledge, there will be a God. Physical sciences, when we talk about our medicine or engineering, astrology, astronomy, psychology, they are all branches of path of knowledge. They are all very sub-branches of path of knowledge. Now, as I said, one can easily start directly from the path of knowledge. And who are the people who should be going for this particular path? People who have very high intellect, very high intelligence is required here, because it is about understanding. So that is, all those who have a very high intellect, to them, path of knowledge works out very well. And intelligence here does not mean, what we would generally call intelligent. It's about having a very strong curiosity, someone who has a very strong questioning mind. For them, path of knowledge works very well. Now we come to the second types of spiritual path, which is the path of yoga, very popular, Yoga Marg. We all know that. And in this, mainly actually it is Ashtanga Yoga, which is given by Patanjali. And we know the practices of Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. Even the Raj Yoga, which has been given by Swami Vivekanand, is coming from Ashtanga Yoga only. It is called Raj Yoga because he says, it is about living like a king. Once you follow these practices, so you become a king. That means someone your own. You are the one who knows and who rules your own self. Mainly it is pranayam and meditation based. He said dhyan. And through this path, one can attain again samadhi. And the samadhi that one attains is savikalp samadhi. That means you get into, through the practice of pranayam and meditation, you are able to achieve that state where you realize the essence. Purpose of Yoga Marg is to discipline the mind. Okay. And it consists of poses, breathing exercises, meditation. We already discussed it. It leads to achievement of knowledge. Okay, that is a very important point. Now, I also mentioned that in Gyan Marg, it is possible to give that knowledge to someone within few seconds or minutes. If there is a right guru, the guru who knows his own essence, and if the disciple is ready. Actually, both the things are required. If both are ready, then it can happen in few minutes. Now, how the disciple will be ready? So, Yoga Marg is what that also takes or makes the disciple ready for that final achievement of knowledge. One of the sub goals of Yoga Marg is that it keeps your body fit. However, very unfortunately, that is what we have connected the whole yoga tradition with, is about keeping the body fit. Whereas keeping the body fit is, just a byproduct. That's all. All right. The third types are called the Shakti Marg, the path of the energies. And here we have Kundalini Yoga, Kriya Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. We are here Kriya Yogis, quite a few of us. I'm myself a Kriya Yogi. And we have always been believing that Kriya Yoga comes under yoga. It does. So, that is where I said, sometimes the paths intertwine as well. It is yoga, but specifically it is the path of energies is where we are using the chakras, where the energy is being raised from the lower centers to the higher centers. So if specific practices are being done to actually raise the energy or to raise the Kundalini, they come under the path of energies. Okay. So in Kundalini, it is about raising each chakra and activating each chakra one by one. In Kriya Yoga also very similar, but it is different. Hatha Yoga is also a mix of meditation, breathing, and raising of the Kundalini. The purpose, it is a mysterious path, and it is about controlling the energies through different practices. Okay, so those who take the path of energies also gain some powers, and they also know how to use their energy. Energy can also be controlled to achieve spiritual attainments. And the most important thing here is that it accelerates human evolution. Okay. Even in Kriya Yoga, like we always say, that how powerful Kriya Yoga is, that every person, although is evolving naturally, but when you do Kriyas, just one breath of Kriya does an evolution of 1 year of a normal human being, just with one breath. That is how fast the process moves. So the evolution happens faster. And how does that help? The faster the evolution will happen, the faster there is a possibility of you achieving that point where you will be ready to receive the highest knowledge. Path of devotion, Bhakti Marg. Now, this is something which is very popular, and almost everybody, like, even when we talk about all the various devotional schools or people having those devotional tendencies, it works very well. So what does it involve? It involves surrendering, a worship of your favorite deity, and loving or giving service or having compassion, because you love your deity so much. So naturally, you also have love for others. So it may have a combination of your bhakti and doing service to others. The purpose, yes, the purpose is to realize your deity in physical form, what we call Ishtka Darshan. Like when Meera is one, that comes immediately when you think of any devotional path. And it is about that, are you able to see your deity in the physical form. And we know of many examples where people have had that experience, or their isht has given them darshan. If you see, most of the devotional paths, that is what they talk about, that we want to see you. Ki ab darshan de do. So that is where it works. Then we come to path of action, karma marg, which is about giving service, forgiveness, and staying non-violent. The purpose here is attaining the spiritual goal through right action. Now, when we talk about path of action, a couple of things we need to understand here, and I will again, I'm sure you may have questions, and I will again describe in more detail. So path of action has two, I would put it, it can start, you can start from here, from the lower layer. And even when you reach the highest layer, you again come back to the path of action. So what I'm trying to say here is that one, all of us have evolved from animals, okay? And that we all know. So after going through various animal births, we come to the human birth. And when we come to the human birth, we still have animalistic tendencies, okay, all of us. What are those? It is about reproducing. It is about hoarding, because, as an animal, we could never store our food. So we always know, we are very possessive about the food or the basic needs. So about hoarding, about the relationships, about possessions. Now, those animalistic tendencies, initially, when you are new to a human birth, they can be very strong, okay? And how to help the humans evolve further, so the path of action is kind of suggested. That how do you do that? Okay, you serve others, okay? You share. If you see, even to small children, we teach that you should be sharing, you should be serving others, you shouldn't be hoarding. Even if somebody does something bad to you, you just forgive, it's all right. And don't be violent. These are the main things that one does. Now, this is where about doing the right action. What is the right action and the wrong action here? Because if we are coming from an animalistic tendency, it is very important for me to know what is the right action. So right action is sharing with others, serving others, forgiving others, staying non-violent, not stealing, not lying. Because if I do that, then I just stay in that animalistic or the lower tendency only. However, as we go further, then the statement or the meaning of the right action changes over there. And then I say, once let's say you have received knowledge, you have reached the highest, automatically again you fall back to the path of action, where naturally you would be serving. Naturally, automatically you will forgive everyone. Automatically you will become non-violent. Okay, so it's kind of tweaked over here. The whole, and we are also going to talk about karma theory, and the whole karma theory actually is associated with the path of action. Then we come to the path of occult, which is the Tantra Marg. And this is again a very mysterious path. Lot of, I would say people do not have much idea about this. There can be misinformation about it. But what we call as Tantra, it actually means being able to use your energies to make things happen. That is what Tantra is. Okay, I will repeat again, to be able to use your energies to make things happen. So for example, if you can make your mind so sharp that it can cut through everything, that is Tantra. If you can make your heart so loving that whoever comes near you is immersed in that love, that is Tantra. If you can use your energies to think of someone and heal that person, that is Tantra. So I would say, even like, when we talk about Reiki or pranic healing, all these are also kind of the divisions of, or the parts of Tantra only. The purpose in mostly the Tantra Marg is that they may fulfill desires of a person so that they may evolve further. There are many of us, who would have been hurt or who have many desires, and we find that in the world, those desires are not getting fulfilled. So path of occult is actually can be seen as that, okay, how do we help you through the right practices fulfill those desires? And then there is also a desire to attain spiritual powers. So on the path of occult, there can be spiritual powers that can be attained. And finally, it is all about reaching the knowledge, achieving the knowledge. And in path of occult, there is independent tantra and dependent tantra. Independent tantra is when you use your own energy to achieve whatever you want. That is recommended. Dependent tantra is where you use other entities who are not in their body, okay, to get or fulfill your desires. And it is because of the dependent tantra that tantra has such a bad or a kind of a dark, it has become dark side. Like we associate tantra with tantrics who may do bad things to us. And tantra is what? It is about technology. There are energies and one can play with those energies. All right. So now we come to a very important question which each one of us has, especially if we are starting on the spiritual path, that how to know this path is for me and what is the path for me. So one, of course, very simple things which I always share is when you take on a path, if it gives you happiness, peace, and enjoyment, and that should happen within first 1 to 3 months only, those perceptible changes, then that means that is the path for you. If you look forward to the practice, you don't think, oh, I have to, it's not like done like an obligation, how you would do your job or how you would do the other important activities, not like that, but done out of love. Every day you are just waiting, okay, when will be my time to do my practice again, then that is the path for you. If you take it like, how fish takes to water. And you also need to, of course, explore, experiment, and with different paths and see what works for you. It's not that immediately you take on a path and work on it. I always suggest take on a path, practice this for 1 to 3 months, see what is happening, then move on to another path. Even if you like it, maybe you may still want to try other ones and see what is working for you. If you still don't know, maybe if you have a teacher or a guru who can guide you, that also helps. So these are just kind of very top of the level tips. Okay. Another important question. And this is something which of course, some masters have put this together to kind of help you, that we talked about 6 different kinds of paths. What would be the right path for me? So one of the ways to find it is by self-evaluation. Okay. Find out afflictions of your mind. Find out what kind of a person you are and what do you think you are. And then also you can kind of get an idea what would be the right one for you. Like as I mentioned, if you are someone who's very intelligent, very curious, who has a lot of questions, a very strong intellect, then you can try path of knowledge. Okay. And I recommend there is no harm in trying path of knowledge. If you get it, great. You don't have to wait at all. Who knows? The realization may happen today only. But if you don't get it, no problem. We can again, go to other paths. There are always so many more. If you have a strong body, okay, then the path of yoga or the path of energies, that works for you. And also if you are interested in having a little control over your body, over your energies, so these are the paths which work well for you. If you are someone who's very emotional, then it is the path of devotion. It is about choosing your Isht, taking a deity, and then surrendering to them. It is about surrendering. That is what one needs to do. That I have faith in this particular god or goddess, and I completely surrender, or my guru, and I completely surrender to them. In fact, even on the path of knowledge or any of the paths, once you gain knowledge, you automatically surrender. So devotion also happens. As I said, all these paths are also connected with each other. So even if you will go from the path of knowledge, you will end up in surrender. If you go from the path of devotion, let's say you surrender to a particular deity, a point will come when you will gain knowledge. Okay, so that they are also kind of connected over there. If you have a lot of desires, then you should take the path of occult. Okay, so that you can fulfill your desires, achieve them. The kind of something that we need to be aware of here is that occult is a difficult path. Okay, and you need to be sure that the guru that you have in this path is the right one. That is very important. It can give you a lot, the path of occult, but it can also take away a lot. So that's why generally you will find very few people who take on this particular path. And then of course there is path of service. If you are a seeker starting, absolutely one can start with doing service for others. But service, as I said, has to be initially, it has to start with serving others out of love. And when you reach the top, then the service that happens is what Krishna is giving in the Gita. You are no more the doer. Things just happen. And you are no more interested in the results or the consequences of your actions. So even when you do service, do it without any desires. Do it without becoming the doer. That is what takes you to the highest. We have been talking about, the karma theory. We were discussing that. And okay, so let me again quickly take you through something else. As I said, on path of knowledge, there is no karma. Nobody talks about karma. Karma is not in the dictionary of path of knowledge. Okay. Path of yoga, again, we are not talking about any karma. It is all about doing your practices. A practice has been given to you. Whatever your pranayama is, your dhyan is, do that. Just keep doing that and live your life normally. That's all. There is nothing else to change. No need to worry about karma. In the path of energies, there is no karma here. Okay. Kriya Yoga, I can tell you, when you take initiation into Kriya Yoga, it is about doing your practice. You have to forget everything else. Just live your normal life, do your practice, no karma over here. Path of devotion, again, when you are so much in love with a deity or your god or Ishт, where is the question of karma? It is all about love. There is no such thing as karma here either. Path of action, this is where karma comes in. Okay, so the karma theory has actually started with the path of action, which I have already told you is something that comes in when we start from when we have come from the animalistic tendencies. So we have to be told that we need to do the right action. It is very important. All of us, even as children, have been told to do the right thing by our parents so that we learn what is there. Now, what has happened is we have taken this karma theory, which is taught, let's say, in nursery to every other class. Okay. I know this is kind of controversial, but I still want to share because not many people talk about it. Okay. So what has happened is, yes, if I steal or if I lie or if I do something bad, there are going to be consequences. And we need to be aware of those consequences. Okay, so we need to do the right action. And being a human means that we do not steal, we do not lie, we do not hoard, we do not kill anybody, and we forgive. These are very basic things, but it is a very, because we come from the animals, so we need to be taught these things. However, as I said, we have overused the karma thing. So, and it has also happened because majority or the masses, they are in this path, on the action, the karma path, when you are like living a normal, regular life. And because of that, it has even seeped it into the upper layers, kind of saying that if I don't, and it works very well for the priests and the pandits, that if you say there is something bad that is happening in my life, and I don't know why this is happening, because there is no answer, because nobody is equipped to answer your question. So the simplest answer is to tell you that it is because of your bad karma. And because everybody has been telling you this, and because all the people are talking about it, so it becomes completely ingrained in your head that it is because of my karma. Okay. Now, I would say, let's say if something very bad is happening to me right now. Let's say, okay, I will take example that Shivi, okay? My friend, such a good friend, suddenly passed away, okay? Now, if people come and tell me it is because of my bad past karma, which I don't remember I have done any past karma in this life, okay, it must be in the previous life. I have no idea, okay, what have I done? There is no way of knowing what did I do in my past life because of which I lost my friend. Now, what does that do to me? It puts me in a circle of fear. Okay, I become very fearful. I say, oh God, I don't know what did I do because of which I lost Shivi. Now, how should I operate my life? What should I do so that I don't make that mistake again? First is I don't even know what mistake I had made earlier. And now I have added pressure that I hope I don't make more mistakes again. So this does not repeat for me. Okay. Now I am operating out of fear. And when I'm operating out of fear, again, there are so many people around me who may be ignorant and who would again tell me, okay, you need to do these rituals, you need to do that, or you ensure. But actually, I'm operating completely out of fear over here. Okay. Now, I will give you another scenario. Okay. My friend Shivi passed away. And yes, it is very bad. Something has happened, but it has happened. And I have to accept death as a normal process in life, which can happen to anybody, any point of time. It has happened. It was just an event like any other event. And I move on. That's it. As simple as that. Why do I have to carry the baggage and burden of karma with me over here? There is absolutely no need. So what I'm trying to say here is, other than the path of action, there is no such thing, no other path on the in the spirituality is talking about karma. Even if they are talking, it is because the masses are so ingrained into it that they have to take this up and mention it to kind of either to help you, or they don't know what the answer is. Or sometimes people, even they know, they give you that so that because they know you're not ready to listen to the truth. You're not ready for that because the conditioning is so strong. And now I want to share here with you. These are the spiritual paths. And what do the masters say? They say, it does not matter who you are, how and where you were born, who your parents were, what kind of karma you have. Okay. Whatever it is that you may have done in the past life, this life, if you are willing to practice, you can attain the highest. Everything can wait, but your search for your own self cannot wait. So it is up to you. These are the paths which are given. Don't worry what has happened in the past, whatever it is, start now. It is up to you. So thank you for listening.